Hey guys, I thought I'd stop in and put a fairly quick video together here on my progress on the Beretta. I do believe this is part 5 of fabrication on this body for the Beretta. I believe it's the last video I had just had these door channels done, the rough end. As you can see, I got my quarter panels on there now. They're pretty much shaped, formed, whatever you prefer to say. Means the same thing. That'll all be done with body work, body fillers. I'll get it all perfect with that, as well everything else on the Beretta. This is the rear trunk channel. Trunk deck lid will sit on here. This is the back side of the rear window support. I have yet to build a piece that goes on the inside. And as you can see, I got the taillight buckets done. Pretty much did them as the real ones, with quite a few other things in mind to make it more simpler to change the light bulbs out once I get it done. Try to go over that real quick. Like on this side here, there'll just be a reflector. There's no it's open there, but there's no actual holes for our lights. I'll just be a reflector on that side. There'll be the brake light, driving light at the bottom, driving light at the top, turn signal. That'll be amber, red. These two smaller pockets will be the reverse lights. Them will obviously be white. The lens I'm going to make out of plexiglass, probably 1/8 inch thick or so, thereabouts. And I'll use a heat gun to form all that. That should be fairly easy to do that. Do all the plastics and glass, whatnot for the Beretta that way. Around this other side here where I got it set down is kind of a bit tricky. As you can see, I pretty much got shit setting everywhere, as usual. Excuse my French there. Before I go any further, before I forget, I'll show you here on the back side what I was referring to. If you can see here or not. And we got these two holes are for the lights. Them are 5mm lights will run through them holes. 2, 3mm, I'm not sure right offhand. RCLD lights is what I'm going to use. And to make it easier, what I did, let's see if you can see it or not in this shot here, I welded in some 3/16 tubing as guides for my screws. I'll show you on this side, it's the same over here. The screws will attach 440 screws. On the lens itself, I'll glue a piece on the inside that will recess up into that hole, approximately right around a 1/2 inch before it will run into them studs, them tubes rather, and it'll screw from the back side into the lens to hold the lens on, so that way once I get it all done with the weather stripping, with the paint and everything obviously all done on it and everything, I don't want to have to pull them off again if I don't have to. I can change out the LEDs just by pulling out the LEDs from the back side, change them out, and just be a rubber grommet and just push them right back in with a snap lock grommet on the back side. That should take care of that problem pretty much. As you can see, I've got the rear bumper pretty near done, and I am making it just like the real ones. Here's the license plate. I haven't drilled the holes yet for the plate to actually will sit in there. Movement for the wheelie bars, so the wheelie bars could actually be moving down. The rear end is in it right now, the old rear end. Just so I can get it straight to know where I was at on the rear bumper. To locate them holes and get them cut out. This is the filler panel. On some Berettas, plastic comes down and it actually comes down here for your trunk to open up. The lock goes down at the bottom. on the real Berettas. It wasn't necessary in my case. You're not going to really see too much of that anyways. We'll go over real quick like here. What the deck lid looks like on it. And it's just sitting on there now. I got some grinding to do and shaping to do, but it kind of gives you an idea how the deck lid will sit on it. The rear spoiler. Spoiler will stick out about 7-8 inches in the back. And it'll have the sides on it just like a regular spoiler does. It'll have the adjustable brackets that come up back to adjust the spoiler as far as for your airflow and whatnot. Parachute apparatus. There'll be 2 bars that come off of here, I believe. 2 will come off of here, and it'll come out to probably right around back in here or so somewhere. And I'll point upwards just like the real ones are. I'm pretty much doing it just like the real ones. Give or take a few mods. It's kind of hard to make it exactly like the real ones. I guess you could if you really wanted to get that technical, but I ain't gonna go that route. But as you can see here, I'm working on the fender flares now to get that started on that. I just got a temporary piece cut out and here's another piece that I've got cut out here. It's not done yet either. This piece will sit in here. Like I said, it's not cut out yet. That's just for just a piece of scrap that I had. If you have to cut out a piece. And what I do is once I get one done, I get one side done. I always trial fit all my parts like this. Tape them up here and there or whatnot. Just sit back and eyeball it, look at different pictures to see if it looks correct or not. Or fairly close at least. And once it's done, I take that piece down. And like you can see here, I take a piece of metal. This has just been rough cut so far. And what I do, I'll go back and I'll grind down that to that black line. Take that piece off there, flatten it out, clamp it down. These little clamps here, these metal clamps here most of the time. Clamp on each side. Just follow that around that edge on that part onto this one. That'll be identical then for the other side. You just bend it the opposite direction then for the other side. Pretty much do all my parts that way. And then what I'll do is once I get these fender flares done, these shouldn't take no time here, probably a couple hours working on these, and I'll have these bad boys all tack welded on there and done. Once I get these done, I've got to tack weld them. Obviously there'll be body filler in here once it's all done. This will have a nice smooth edge to it, just like the real ones do. And as you can see, it stops right back down here at the bottom. And if you look closely at this, you can see that there's an edge on the bottom of the bumper there that I put on, and I left off right here on this corner because what I want to do, when the car is done, I want it to set as low as possible to the ground. Just so the headers don't drag the ground, and as long as my wheelie bars don't bottom out at the top of the bumper there, I'll be good to go. It'll be approximately, if you look close at it, it's kind of hard to tell because it's bolted up here. I got quite a bit of clearance under here. Once it's all said and done with the headers on it, on the ground, I'll have about 3/4 to 1 inch underneath the car. It'll have 1 inch collector, 1/2 inch tubes. And anyhow, before I get distracted there, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to run I'll make an additional piece that's going to go over this for ground effects. And it's actually going to come down, probably a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch beyond the bottom of the bumper there. It'll have a rolled edge on it, and it'll mate right up at this corner here then with that same radius there, a small radius there, and it's going to get larger as it comes along. Kind of look like a tube kind of in a way. And it's going to flare out here on the side. It's kind of hard to explain. forgot the name of the company. I've installed a few of them over the years on rail cars. Cheesy makes us ground effects. It's going to be a lot like the one I'm going to be making. And that will continue over on this side when I get it done. Obviously it will run along. That's what this line here is for. It'll leave off, start over here, leave off over here. These are just reference lines for this side and that side. I apologize if I didn't get the camera quite on the bumper there, or on the part here. I got a habit of looking at this and not paying attention to the screen here. The ground effects will continue off of this side. Obviously it will stop right up into here. The ground effects will continue across on this side, and it will come down. It will also be flared out on this side. It'll have a radius where it comes out like this. I'll give you an example of one of the pictures I'm going by. This is one of the Berettas I'm using for reference. I'm going with the ground effects on the edge, like this Beretta, with that tube flare and coming up into the radius there. Obviously I got doing mine a little bit different. The front, it's hard to see in this picture. The front of it is pretty much what I'm going to go with, except for I'm going to extend it to the side there of the quarter panel, as well as the door, and as well as right at the front of the bumper, or the front of the fender rather. By doing so, we'll create the ground effects, and it will also create that body line. It's not actually a body line in there, and I won't have to put a body line actually on the door itself. Quarter fender just comes off of this back line back here. This front picture, here's the front view of that Beretta. Mine will look a lot like this one when it's done. Obviously I'm making a cowl induction hood. Don't know if I put a video together on that yet or not. And I've got parts everywhere. This is the hood for it, and it's not done. See the hole cut out, the recess through the bonnet here for the blower. So I'll be cut out through here, pretty much all of it, all the way up to the front with the windshield. Yeah, it looks funky now and stuff, but it's setting up here. Give you an idea. Kind of hard to tell in this picture. In this video, the way I got it setting up, and I haven't got the bottom cut out yet or nothing. Other than that, I haven't got much done to it. If I were to guess, I would say I've probably got, we'll say 80 hours to 100 hours into it so far. Far as tools, pretty much just going with standard tools. I am old school when it comes to stuff like this. It's easier for me just to do stuff the old way than it is to go out and spend the money on something I'll probably never use again, when I got all kinds of stuff, you know, to do it. As far as getting my radiuses and stuff, I've got a few different pipes that I use. I just use some old exhaust pipe I got laying around. Tighter radiuses, I just use a simple socket. Take the socket, middle in there, pair of pliers, twist it over as you're moving the socket. I go about a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch at a time. That's how I get radiuses like this from the back side. As far as grinder, good old drill. Nothing fancy there. Reversible. Comes in handy when you're trying to cut on the bench. You don't have room. Cut on one side. If you need to cut on the other side and you can't get to it, you just come around the other side with the drill. Get the bad boy on reverse and go to town. And the standard 3-inch cutoff disc. Harbor Freight. Go figure. Try to save where I can. These are Harbor Freight ones too. These things are excellent, actually. Both of these are. I would definitely highly recommend anybody. It's going to attempt to do any fabricating like I'm doing, these things work really good and they last a long time. This is one of the Harbor Freight grinding discs on the old ones. It's probably got a good 5 or 10 hours on it, and there's still quite a bit of meat left on that. And as far as these discs, cutting the metal and stuff, I couldn't tell you how many I went through. I buy these at a 10 or 20 pack at times. I went through probably 30 of them, 40 of them, 5 or 10 grinding discs so far. But you can see what the result comes out to be when it's all said and done. It just takes some time. Very, very old-fashioned when it comes to that. Obviously, you want to wear eye protection. I wear glasses at times too, but I always put on my eye protection there. As far as clamps, I got a few different ones. These are some cheap ones too, and obviously you can see the handle's broken off. And I've got quite a few of them that's like this. Piss poor design to begin with, to just have them little rubber pieces or plastic pieces that's molded in to hold that handle in, thinking it's going to hold it. Obviously it's not. So what I do to that, you just take right where that handle was, drill a hole through it, run a bolt through it with a nut on the back side of it. Obviously with the handle in it, and it'll last you forever. I've got quite a few of them I've done that way. Give you a quick example. Here's one of my old ones. They all do this, all these cheaper clamps, but that's all you got to do. Drill a hole through that bad boy, run a bolt through it, and nut. Lock washer on the back side, and it'll last you forever. I've had these clamps probably for well over 10 to 15 years, at least. Probably when they first started making them, actually. Almost the majority of everything I got is pretty old. I do got quite a few new things, but they're not out here at this house. Old house, old school. Anyhow, that's where I'm standing at on the Beretta. She is starting to take shape. And hopefully in the next one here I'll have the rest of them Fender flares done. And as you can see, I got the inside of the wheel wells here yet to button up. Got to get a piece of metal cut and welded to the inside of that. It's going to have a flare that comes around here to the back window, just like the real ones do. I'll weld in the window channel here and get that all made first before I put that flare in. Same on that side. And once that's done, then I'll wait and I'm going to do the whole bottom section trunk. Same with the floor pan and everything. I'll do that all very last. But once I get fender flares done, the ground effects on the rear fender bumper, and this window channel done. These wheel wells finished off with the flare on the side there. I'll turn this bad boy around and get started on the front end. Get them front end brackets on there and start hanging them front fenders. Take it easy.